Interesting setup we have here, pal. For the first time, I'm at a different setup at home, but we will make good of it. It has been an interesting night of recording, but for the Mariners, it has been almost as much of a wait and see, just like we waited and seed through the beginning of this episode. I think they're still in on Matt Chapman, according to Ryan Davis. He was on Brock and Salk this morning and said they're keeping tabs.
Yeah, they are. And for those watching on YouTube wondering what's going on with us, yeah, TJ's had a couple of computer problems. We tried to record a couple times. We restarted a couple times. So this was our best solution for this episode. So just bear with us through it. We know you guys can still see us and still hear us, which is the important thing. Anyway, Matt Chapman. Are we fired up about this? Like hearing today that the Mariners are internally having discussions still about signing Matt Chapman?
I'm down. Like, think of it this way. Look at the Mariners infield right now, and you have a platinum gloved Matt Chapman, and you look at the rest of the Mariners defense. Is there another plus defender on that infield right now?
Not really. JP hasn't played great defense the last couple of years. Polanco's not a great defender. Arias isn't a great defender. So when you talk about a team that has a lot of upside this year, and there's a lot to be excited about, that should not change at all. People should be excited. But when you look at the defense, there are a couple downsides, and that's one of them, being the infield defense is not what it was in the past.
I'm going to give Mike Salk a lot of credit because he's hammered this point home a couple of times, and just think of that. So JP's weakness, as we highlighted during the season, if you look on Baseball Savant, it's going to his right in the hole at shortstop. That's a dangerous spot, pull side for a right-handed hitter. Matt Chapman would help alleviate some of that, like with his range there at third base. Because I don't know if you trust Josh Rojas or Luis Urias going into that hole to sort of help out JP in that sense. It would be if Matt Chapman would make you feel more comfortable with an aging JP Crawford at shortstop.
Yeah, it would. I will tell you that I feel differently just about every day about Matt Chapman. Like one day I'll wake up, I'll put my hands above my head, stretch to the left and say, yeah, Matt Chapman, he hits for a lot of power, plays good defense. His contract price is probably going down. I could buy in on this. Other days I wake up, put my hands above my head, stretch to the right and say, Matt Chapman strikes out a lot. Past April last year, his offensive season was not very good. I have my concerns. So honestly, flip a coin, and that's probably how I'm feeling about Matt Chapman on that particular day. But I will say, part of Divish's interview on Brock and Salk today was him talking about how he thinks that the market is going down for Chapman, and he was basically stating that he thinks Chapman wouldn't take a 1-year deal, but he might think about taking a 3-year deal. And if it's going to be a 3-year deal for the Mariners compared to 6 or 7 years, all of a sudden interest perks up. You've got my attention. If it's really going to be a 3-year deal, yeah, you've got my attention.
I feel a little bad for Matt Chapman. It's almost bad luck. He's hit free agency at this time, right when the RSN bubble pops. And even though Matt Chapman hasn't been a truly elite baseball player since pre-pandemic in 2019, well, it doesn't mean he doesn't deserve long contracts. I mean, worse players have gotten longer contracts than the probably now 3-year deal he's going to get. But for the Mariners, that opens up a number of options. They don't have to commit to him long term, but they could also get exactly what they need looking at their starting nine and saying, okay, if there is still one more upgrade we can make, if we still have the ability to make one more upgrade on this roster, it's third base. And one of the big 4 free agents is a third baseman waiting to be signed and reportedly willing to take less. The dominoes don't always fall this way for the Seattle Mariners. It's kind of going that way if he ends up thinking about it.
Yeah, it is. Again, I don't know how to feel one way or the other, but I will say, if you're really going to run out a lineup with Matt Chapman in it, I don't even really know where the weakness is. Who hits 9th in this lineup when Haniger's in the lineup against lefties? Is it Haniger? Is it Luke Raley? Luke Raley's your 9-hitter. I look at that lineup and say, whoa.
Matt Chapman still might be the 9th best hitter in that lineup, right? He still could be. But it doesn't matter because he's going to be providing the platinum glove defense at third that you need. That's honestly more important than his bat because we think right now the Mariners lineup's good enough. You and I both think that. This is a This is a playoff caliber lineup right now. It could get better with Matt Chapman, but we've seen the signs of aging and slowing down with Matt Chapman. So it does not need to be elite. It needs to be serviceable to complement the defense at third, to which could elevate him to a 3.5 win season. And a 3.5 win season, like, yeah, please, thank you.
Yeah, so you're talking about a guy that probably would put up slightly better offensive production if he's going to keep on the trend that he's been on the last couple of years compared to the platoon currently set for third base. But when you factor in the defense, it's still a 3.5, maybe 4 win player. And if that's the case, that is an upgrade. And if you get that upgrade at third base with that defense, the team takes a step up.
Yeah, to be honest, if you compare the platoon and like Matt Chapman, right? So Matt Chapman would have the better defense than the platoon. The platoon would hit for a higher average. They'd probably get on base a little bit more. Matt Chapman would hit for a little bit more power himself, alone that. So, like, we're kind of split 2-2 there on, like, values. Batting average and on base, power and defense, right? Depends which one you want to weigh. If the Mariners feel like they could actually, lineup-wise, use a little bit more power as well, and they want some thump from that spot, then yes. Because right now, your best power-hitting infielder is your second baseman. And that's kind of rare these days, right? If your second baseman is your best power hitter on the infield. Now, if you could make that your third baseman as well, that's a little bit better.
That's a little bit better. Yeah, I mean, I can buy in on this. I'm sure if the day came where the Mariners said they were going to sign Matt Chapman to a 3-year, $60 million deal, I'd probably perk up. I'd probably say, wow, like they're really going for it. They're really buying in on this. The question is, does John Stanton buy in on it? Because I'm guessing these internal discussions are not involving him. It's probably front office discussions, and then they'd have to go to the ownership group and say, can we have this money? And that may be a conversation in itself, but it would get me excited to say they're really trying to push this team over the top, because Chapman, he would, if he's at his best or close to his best, though, he would do that.
If it's 3 for 20, that puts you over the budget. So I think Divish estimated they're at about $132 million right now. 132 plus $20 more million for the season's 152. They'd be over the budget. And at this point, they would not have the ability to go out and make a move at the deadline, which sucks because this would kind of smell like a 2018 season. The team would need to be good front to back without any additions in the middle. And most great teams need an addition in the middle. You're going to have to weigh, like, would that risk be worth it of not being able to add in season? Is Matt Chapman more valuable than someone you can add at the deadline? Big question to ask.
It is a big question to ask. I don't know which route's better, to be honest with you, to keep some payroll and evaluate at the deadline, or sign a guy that you believe could be a star on your team right now. I don't know. There are sides to both arguments, but the fact this is being floated out there, I think it's got to make people excited.